Well, truth, folks, what is it? And who judges it? That's on the line with the government's misinformation bill as public submissions close today. Joining us live now is the Assistant Immigration Minister Matt Thistlethwaite. We'll start here, Matt. So is this bill going to hinder free speech or at least censor public opinion?
No, it's not, Pete. All we're ensuring is that the online platforms have similar codes of practice and policies in place to ensure that they're publishing the correct and truthful information as the mainstream media have. Your organisation has codes of practice and guidelines that they have to apply and ensuring that you're publishing correct information. We just want to make sure that that applies to online platforms as well. And we don't think that that's controversial. It's ensuring that Australians get access to good quality media.
Why should the government be the arbiter of truth, though, when it has its own problems with that?
The government's not going to be the arbiter of truth.
Well, it does. ACMA, that's a government body that's creating the codes.
Well, what this bill does is it ensures that online platforms have policies to deal with misinformation on their platforms.
Yeah, but so why should the government be the arbiter of that? What, the arbiter of truth, the judge of truth?
Well, it ensures that those online platforms have policies and codes of practice and that they're applying those codes of practice. So they'll have to publish on an annual basis whether or not there's been takedowns, whether or not there's been misinformation published on their platforms. And you see it now. You see some of the platforms are already putting posts up.
But I guess the point, it's still there, though.
Cannot be relied on.
I get all that, though. But why should the government, though? I mean, people are already highly dubious of what the government does and says. Why should it be the judge when it comes to truth here?
Well, governments make rules to ensure that Australians get access to good quality information. And we do that for the mainstream media in Australia to ensure that we have integrity in our media system.
Sure.
And that there's no difference that should apply to online platforms. They're publishing media and they should make sure that that information is truthful.
Yeah, look, I get these are questions for Michelle Rowland, the Minister, but you're our Labor spokesperson today, Matt, and just one more here before we move on to your space. I mean, the bill, I've gone through it, it's so vague. In politics, for instance, might you be at fault here because points are often made and they're subject to varying interpretations?
No, it's not at all about what's factual and what's not. It's about making sure that these platforms have codes of practice and policies to deal with misinformation. And you see it on many of their platforms already. If someone puts something up that's not truthful, there'll be a disclaimer under it saying that this cannot be relied on as truthful information. Now, that comes about as a result of that company having a policy to deal with misinformation. All this bill does is make sure that those organisations report that to ACMA on an annual basis, and then ACMA then publish that for the public to make their own mind up about whether or not they're getting correct information from those platforms.
All right, let's get into your space, Matt, the topic of immigration. So if migrants are found to have held up signs of Hassan Nasrallah, the late Hezbollah leader, should they be kicked out?
Well, we want to make sure that the conflict that we're seeing in the Middle East isn't brought over here to Australia to incite hatred and division in our community. So there are laws in place that ensure that Australians can't incite violence in manners such as that. Now, it's up to the authorities, obviously, to make judgments about that and the court system to enforce that. But we've strengthened the laws to make sure that people can't incite violence or bring terrorism here to Australia. And I think that all people who are on visas here need to be mindful of that. And if you do the wrong thing, then your visa will be cancelled.
All right. Final one here. Another of your colleagues now, Jim Chalmers, he's going to be trumpeting economic management today when he announces a second straight surplus. The first time this has been done by a Labor Treasurer since Paul Keating. So it's a good headline, no doubt, but can you really celebrate it when folks can't pay their bills?
We know Australia's doing it tough. I think that the surplus today demonstrates that it's not good luck, but good economic management that's delivering a strong budget position. But we know that we're not out of the woods, that we've got a long way to go, that many Australian families and small businesses are doing it tough.
High migration helps you though, right?
These figures demonstrate that we've got Australia moving forward again.
Yeah, but is there a cheat?
Australians are in work than ever before.
Is there a cheat here though with high migration? A higher tax take?
No, the important thing is that we've had revenue upgrades, but we've saved 90% of those revenue upgrades. So like many Australian households that are saving more than they're spending, we're doing the same thing with the federal budget, and that's good economic management. That makes sure that we're getting Australia moving forward again. We've got more Australians in employment than ever before. We're training the next generation of Australians. We're on a pathway to net zero, and we're making sure that we're delivering cost of living relief that is targeted and doesn't add to inflation.
We'll leave it there. Matt Thistlethwaite, thank you. As always, we'll chat to you again next week.